Sunday Spotlight is brought to you by Bay Area Children's Theater.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Khalia Davis, the artistic director of Bay Area Children's Theater. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Spotlight. This is the show that shines a spotlight on some really cool people whose art is making a positive social impact on their community and our industry. Today's guest is award-winning author and playwright Jacqueline Woodson. Here are 3 things you need to know about Jacqueline.
When Jacqueline was a kid, she wrote with her notebooks turned upside down. She can jump double dutch. Fall is her favorite season.
Welcome to Sunday Spotlight. We're so glad you're here. Yay!
Oh man, I'm so glad to be here. It's so good to see you.
You as well. Well, we're just going to jump right in. I asked all of my guests the same question. Who did you see, or what did you see as a kid that inspired you to pursue this career in the arts?
I saw books. I saw lots and lots of books. And every time I read a story that made me feel some kind of way, I just thought, I want to do that. I want to figure out how to do this. And I didn't even know what the that I wanted to do was. I knew it had to do with words and emotion and seeing your name on the cover of a book and opening it up. And, so I had all these ideas. Like I eventually knew I wanted to write, and I wanted to write books, but what I really wanted to do is feel a certain way again and again. And by extension, I realized the way to do that is to write the stories, and those stories would make lots of people feel like I do. And I think in that way, it would become a conversation, right? The more people who have this a similar experience, the more conversations you can have.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes, books are, a lot of people like to refer to them as like a gateway to new worlds and new adventures. And especially as a kid, your imagination is able to go wild. I'm sure there's so many kids out there right now who love reading books. I had a question for you around the fact that, yes, you are an author and you do write children's books. Your catalog, though, spans adults, young readers, middle grade readers, and children's books. Why do you feel it's important to be able to write from many different perspectives?
Because we grow up. And I think for me, writing all the books is about writing into a hole that existed when I was a kid. The stories I write are the stories I wanted to read, and that is ageless. I mean, though that's picture books, that's middle grade books, that's young adult novels, that's adult novels, all of it. Each time I sit down to tell a story, it's me at a certain age wanting to feel a certain way.
But how come you think it is important to still write work for kids and young audiences? Why do they need your stories?
Because that's such a great question. Kids are some of the smartest people I know, and when I'm writing books, I feel like I'm having a conversation with them in a language that we both understand.
Yes.
And I think that they're hungry to have that conversation, and they don't always know how to begin it. And books allow them to begin it. And so writing those books allows me to be a part of that conversation and offer it as a gift to the young people who want to have it. So I think also, again, I think books are timeless. Like you can revisit them again and again and get something new out of them every time.
Yes. Oh, I love that idea of timeless. You can revisit that book at any age and at any stage. In fact, when you read a book when you're a kid, you might learn something or see something new and different when you're older. And I love that. What are some ways that you have helped yourself get through what sometimes people like to refer to as writer's block, when it might be a challenge to keep putting that pen to paper, what helps you get through that?
I think the thing that helps me the most is reading. I'll go out if I get stuck, I'll go read a poem that I've already read before that just reminds me of the rhythm of language, or I'll go read a chapter from a book that I've read before because I don't want any surprises. I don't want anything new. I just want to know that writing is familiar to me and that I can do it. And I think sometimes I'll just stop and read what I've written already out loud because that also gives me ideas for going further or editing what's already on the page. But yeah, I don't believe in writer's block. I think it's just your body saying, stop, like let's figure this out, or stop, let's think about what you're afraid of, what's stopping you from putting that pen to the page. And if it is fear, how do you overcome it? And I always say, um, write like no one's ever going to read it. What would you write if no one was ever going to see it? And that tends to free me and others up.
That's great advice. Do you hear that, everybody out there? Write as if no one actually is going to read it, which means you can write anything you want, and it's probably something that's really incredible. I love that advice. Thank you so much. I'm also really curious about what you think is exciting young people today in terms of the types of stories we're telling. We're seeing so many more works of art and books and literature that is speaking to the relevant moment of what kids are going through and experiencing. What do you believe they're most excited about reading in these times?
Um, I think they're excited about reading books that make them feel less alone. And even though we're experiencing so many things on a world level, right? We think about climate change, we think about insurrections, we think about the Black Lives Matter movement, we think about, and all these different things that seem like they're everywhere, war, which has always been with us. There's something about sitting down and reading a story that's very specific and where you feel like the author is talking directly to you about something specific is exciting. I think I always think about medicine books. Like kids are like, is that a medicine book? Which means is that a book that's going to try to teach me something? If that's the case, I don't want it. And I do think kids want story. They want adventure, and that adventure could be in fantasy, it could be in realistic fiction, it can be in a poem, it can be in a TikTok video that has a lot of words too. I mean, there's so many ways that they can dive into story and have an experience. I love my experiences to come through books because the printed word allows me to imagine so much more than someone giving me pictures, right? And saying this is what you have to see. I like to use my mind to help me meet the author halfway in the story.
I'm really glad that you started talking about how you love to visualize the words that are on the page, because you're not just an award-winning and incredible author of books, but you also are an incredible playwright, which means you write work for the stage. And specifically, you have been writing a number of works that are geared towards children and young audiences. Why have you chosen to bring some of your works to life in that way? How does that help continue the life of your work?
It's just exciting when you have an idea that's in your head and it's it only exists in your imagination, and then you write it down and then it exists on the page, and then you rewrite it for the stage, and then people are taking on those characters and they become even more real and more incredible. And I just love it. I just love being able to sit in a darkened theater and see the imagination come to life on stage that way. I love music. I mean, when we think about my play, The Day You Begin, the music is by my best friend Toshi. And I can't sing at all, but I love listening to music and listening to people with powerful voices tell stories through music. So I think it all comes back to story and just imagining the many, many, many ways you could tell stories. And for me, it felt like the natural progression was from the page to the stage and the screen. And that's what I'm doing.
That is awesome. Yeah, we really love when an author themselves gets involved in the adaptation of their own work, because it gives us an opportunity to actually see how you viewed that world. What do you see when it comes to life in front of a young audience? And it's really exciting, much like your work, The Day You Begin, which is going to be premiering at Bay Area Children's Theater this spring. I have one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
When did you realize that your words and the stories that you are sharing with the world are making an impact on the people who are reading them?
Today, like I just feel like it's almost surreal. It's hard. I go into classrooms, I meet young people, I go into theaters, I Zoom with young people, I get letters from young people, and every single time it happens, I'm surprised. I'm like, wait, I wrote that, you know. So it's a dream, and a part of me always hoped it would come true, to be able to have conversations with so many hundreds of thousands of young people. But the fact that my work is making an impact is still kind of like surprising, and I think I really do have to remember it every day.
Of course you do. We are so grateful for your words and your work, and for you sharing some time with us today at Sunday Spotlight. But wait, everybody, we are not done. It is time for our creative craft. Today's creative craft is brought to us by our guest, Jacqueline Woodson. Jacqueline, take it away.
So the play that I most recently wrote is a play based on my book, The Day You Begin. And The Day You Begin is about um, what it means to go into a new environment and think that you're not as good as everyone else there, which is not true. Every time you walk into a room, you should feel like the room is lucky to have you there, because you're amazing. So I want you to think about your first day of school, your favorite first day of school, your favorite grade, your favorite classroom. Maybe that's all kind of different. And just write down everything you remember. What outfit did you wear? Who was your teacher? What was the classroom like? Who are your friends? What did you love about it? What was the day like? Just write down everything you can remember. And when you stop remembering, just start making it up, because that's how we write fiction. We start with what we know, and then we go to what we imagine. So go get writing. Nothing you can write is wrong, and have fun.
Okay, everybody, you heard it. That is your craft. Now it's time for you to get creative. Thank you so much for joining us today on another episode of Sunday Spotlight. Keep shining. Bye.